damn. Like, I needed the haircut, but one more step and that barber would have given me the straight out of Charlottesville. Yo, Equinox again. Alright, let's skip the nonsense and just go straight into what we're actually here for. How to clear Ludibrium Clock Tower, aka how to beat a ghost plant riding a giant clock. Had that owl not been there, I would have probably quit the game.
Time to wake up!
7800 gear score, don't even look at this bullshit. You need firepower, you need armor, you need gems, you need an epic pet, and you may need to make a contract with the devil to get into a pub. So I suggest joining a nice guild if you haven't already. Welcome to the biggest DPS check-in of the game pre-awakening, pagans. This motherfucking blue boy, commanding a giant machine, has a whopping 1.2 billion health points. More than any current Chaos Raid boss. Yes, even more than Infernon. Funny enough, even Captain Mach has more health than an immortal demon lord. Adding on to this massive health pool, Pap can hit pretty hard in various ways, mainly physically and emotionally, but not as hard as I hit myself. This Chaos Raid is honestly easier than Mach and even Dev, give it a delicious team, but you need to stay on your toes at all times, because Pap has most likely consumed an unhealthy amount of cocaine and will offer little mercy to the unprepared. As soon as the raid begins, I suggest not dropping down immediately, but someone will, so make use of their foolishness as bait and wait for his first attack. Once it seems to conclude, that's your cue to jump down and actually do shit. I will now show you some of the moves Pap does throughout the raid, so please pay attention to them and learn from them so you don't wipe before math phase.
Here comes the laser!
Once everyone's down there, the priest will actually separate from the group and head to the platform at 5 o'clock. Yep, like Mach, the arena is a giant clock. Get with the program, homie. Here, there are anti-shield bombs that the priest will toss at Pap whenever his double shield appears. That bubble severely cuts the team's incoming damage, so it's imperative that it's removed ASAP. An extremely good tip in my opinion is to look at his hands. Right before every attack, this clocksucker curls up his hands, and more often than not, during the pre-math phases, every attack comes with a free double shield. So once his hands curl up completely, that's the cue to throw the bombs. For this portion, only the priest at 5 will handle these bombs, just keep watching. Anywho, once Pap reaches around 93% of his health, he will walk to the center of the arena to signal that it's time for a mini panic. All party members now gather in front of Pap after evading the mini cogs that fall from the ceiling, and prepare to survive the onslaught from a ghost plant's temper tantrum. Never before has the holy duo of the knight and priest been so important in a chaos raid until now. Once Pap begins to spin, the priest deploys holy symbol, and about 5 to 7 seconds after it deploys, the knight will use bulwark to defend the team from a sudden knockback. All throughout this mini panic, the priest will heal the team from the unavoidable debris falling everywhere as they try to wither his health down as much as possible. Note, I say mini panic. You're gonna have fun later. Mini panic ends and the next set begins. A giant clock will appear on the floor, always in the same position, centered around the arena center, not Pap. So if he panics a bit south, move up after he calms down. Do not step on these clock tiles, they will fuck up your day worse than failing your plus 12 for the 6th time in a row. This clock will eventually disappear after enough damage is done, but until then, the DPS team will have their hands full with that. I say DPS team because 3 notable characters will separate to save the day. The priests will return to 5 to continue their bomb duties, but there are some additions now. One person, typically a wizard, heavy gunner, or runeblade, will be deployed to 7 to also engage in similar activities, and the knight will also be given their only active role in all chaos raids so far, which involves climbing a ladder of their choice to handle 1 and 11 o'clock. What's here, you ask? At this point, a new phase begins that will spawn stationary adds at 11, 1, 5, and 7, all of which are extremely important to eliminate. These adds are known as Dark Stars, which come in small and large forms. I'll refer to these guys as mini and chunk stars respectively. These otherworldly threats must be dealt with swiftly because if they detonate, they will remove a decent amount of time from the available time to eliminate Papulatus. 30 seconds for each mini star and 90 seconds for each chunk star. Along with these Dark Stars, 2 Protoid Rs will spawn occasionally at 7, which are surprisingly important as well despite their piss poor damage. I'll explain soon enough. Now then, time to learn one of the most important spawning patterns in the game, aka when to fucking run. Starting off with 7, absolutely not because of bias, keep your eyes towards the top of your screen because one of 2 things will happen. If 2 chunk stars appear directly north of you, prepare for 1 chunk star to appear next to you. To take these large boys down, use the large hammer on the level below and smack them with it. You don't even have to jump up a level, just smack them from below. It's a pretty big hammer. I will say, however, I was planning to publish a research thesis on this, but they denied my entry, so I'll post a summary here. There is an approximate 80% chance that when the chonk star is programmed to appear at 7, Pap will also be programmed to either specifically target 7 or use his circular laser to interfere. Don't fret though, these large stars take time to detonate. If the north stars don't spawn, but instead you see these boys at the northwest spawn, you better already be climbing that ladder. When these chonk stars appear at that position, a total of 3 mini-stars will appear soon, alongside the 2 protoids I mentioned before. Don't worry about them for now, focus on taking out the first 2 mini-stars that spawn above you. Depending on your class, you can deal with this in different ways. Wizards!
What's shaking?
As always, Flame Tornado, but make sure you stand in the right spot and hit it at the right time. Stand on this second beige block, look straight, and wait for both mini-stars to appear. Hit Tornado when they do, and you should be able to hit both. Heavy Gunners!
What's up?
You have to stand at the same position and use homing missiles in mid-air, so time your jumps well. Room Blades.
Hail!
At the time of this recording, we've suffered a great loss. Initially, we were able to use illusory blades on this blue block here and jump continuously to kill both the mini-stars and even the protoids. But following the launch of the Progression Improvement Update, which was the laggiest day I have ever experienced in 20 miserable years on this earth, we are seemingly unable to use this ability to take down the stars anymore. I feel like this is a massive bug, so if anybody from Nexon is watching this, please fix this. As a result, we have only one shot to get both stars by standing in the same position as the other 2 and using a seemingly short-range storm chasm. We can't run off the edge when using the move, so don't worry, but the chasm seems to reach both stars often. Nonetheless, there is a chance that it somehow misses, which can cost you dearly. Don't forget to deal with the protoids whenever you have your hands free, because even if they do low damage, their real threat is in the fact that they can target the knight at 11 and 1. If they are holding a hammer to dispose a dark star on their side, the beam from the protoids can knock it out of their hands. Those hammers take a bit to respawn, so that may very well guarantee a 90-second cut in a pinch. Take them out fast. Now, if you had listened carefully, I said there were 3 mini-stars at 7. The third one spawns soon after the other 2 on the upper level, but it is found right below you and will actually detonate within, I think, the first 2 seconds of its appearance. I recommend actually spawn camping this little ship before dealing with the protoids, because that's how important it is. For heavy gunners, however, they have a neat little rocket launcher that leaves an AoE after exploding. Using this immediately after dealing with the first 2 mini-stars on the area where the third one will appear allows the heavy gunner to take out the protoids without worry. With all adds dealt with, you may return to the main platform at 7 and continue to assist 5 with throwing bombs to remove Pap's shield whenever it appears. As a bonus tip to wizards or room blades doing 7, since you will be lower in damage obviously, I highly recommend building for a team player build, meaning that wizards should bring a juicy focus seal, and room blades should equip some nice honing runes. Whenever the floor is not covered by a deadly clock and you may be stuck upstairs by Pap's laser passing through the area, I suggest jumping down and deploying your buff to contribute to the team. Oh, that's right, another thing. 9th and 10th place in DPS should be whoever's doing 7 and 5. If a priest that's doing 5 outdamages you, there's something really wrong. Let's put it like that. Anyways, yes, these spots should belong to 7 and 5, and their damage should be vastly different to the rest of the team as a result of their jobs. So do not dare expect them to be on par with everyone else. I'm calling out the elite specifically. Get that 180 mil to carry your weight mindset the fuck out of my face. To those contributing to the run by doing 5 and 7, I love and appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Going back to the spawns, let me briefly discuss 11 and 1 for the night. Going by how you can tell 7 spawns, those will be the only chunk stars that the knight will have to deal with. So if 2 spawn at 11, climb the ladder to 11. 2 spawn at 1, climb the ladder to 1. Typically for efficiency's sake, the knight grabs both of them with Typhoon Slash and uses one of the hammers here. Alright, I should mention, at 5, the only star that appears is a chunk star identical to the one at 7. Take it out with a hammer at your leisure. For this reason, it's safe to quickly heal your team whenever it's safe. All of this tomfoolery will continue until 65% of Pap's health is left. Yes, all I talked about just now was until the 65% mark. Help me. At around this point, Pap will make his way to the center of the arena, indicating that it's soon time for a fun little phase shift. Rarely at this time, the Dark Stars are still in their spawning process, so wait a second before dropping down to the arena. If there are still some spawning, please take one for the team and eliminate all of them at the cost of missing the first buff of many. When that circular AoE appears, you know it's time for math. 20 years later, and I am now teaching simple multiplication and division to people most likely older than me. What the fuck? Everyone within the AoE will receive a buff that corresponds to a buff Papulatus has. You can see his buff to the top left of his health bar and your buff at the bottom right of your screen as a technical debuff. After that AoE passes, Pap will summon tiles on the floor that act as double-edged mines, multipliers, and dividers. The ones that could appear are ×2, ×3, and divide 2. Are you starting to see what's going to happen? Your goal is to match the buffs timer on your end to the one on Pap's buff, all while evading the now upgraded attacks of the giant clock, which are seemingly stronger and definitely faster, so you will have to act accordingly. He does have one additional move that's exclusive to Math Phase, and that's his Suck. The center of the AoE will explode intermittently, dealing massive damage to anyone inside, so you have to prepare way beforehand because the radius of the pull is almost the entire arena. Almost. The fact is that the center of the attack will always be where Pap's hand goes, so essentially the best thing to do is get behind Pap and use his physical body to shield you from the pull. If he's at the edge of the arena, just find the next best area to avoid getting pulled. If anything, you can just combine dashing and slowly moving the Pap to initial D that shit and literally drift to him. Anywho, now I'll explain the buff and consequences of not having them. With the blue buff, it is essentially a defense buff that protects you from Pap's melee attacks, which he will heavily prioritize during this phase. If you do not have this buff, you will either A, fucking die, or B, have your spirit drained for some time, so be cautious if you don't have the buff. The other one that will appear in the next AoE is purple buff, which is another sort of defense buff, but this one protects you from getting stunned by Pap's enhanced lasers and homing balls. In this phase, Pap prioritizes the use of his energy attacks, which involve a faster laser that lasts way less than the blue laser, and a unique attack that has him target various players in the arena with homing red balls. The balls themselves don't hurt, but what does is the cog mine that appears right below you when it hits. Basically, what you want to do if you're targeted is to, well, first, move away from your teammates. Many a time, people that do not have the buff will accidentally get killed because they were stunned by a ball following a teammate that was too close to them. In essence, you're basically killing your team if you're not being careful. Please be considerate of your team, please. But yeah, if you're targeted, let yourself get hit by the ball, and once the cog appears, immediately dash away and carry on. If you do not have the buff and you get targeted, please run as fast as you can and hope you don't get hit, because you will be stunned, and that'll be it, chief. By the way, if you have the buff and you still get killed, good news! You will not lose the remaining time on the buff when you revive. Then again, I would act fast when reviving, because if you died towards the end of a buff's phase for sure, if you don't get back to the arena in time, the spawn shield that you have may prevent you from receiving the next buff. Good luck. A small yet important note is that towards the end of a buff's phase, Papulatus can totally restart his timer by 30 seconds, so watch out for this animation here and act accordingly. This is why many choose to stay at around 5 seconds above his timer, though I prefer, honestly, to stay under his time. That's because if you're a bit too high above his time when he decides to start another one, you won't be able to get the new buff and have to suffer for at least 60 seconds without one. So, when Pap deploys a buff, he will always have around 60 seconds of that buff for him, while everyone else can get different times, from as low as 15 seconds to around exactly his time from the get-go, which makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Please do note, when the tiles spawn, they will spawn randomly, and when I say randomly, I mean they can spawn right under your feet. So be quick to dash if you either see one, or you feel Pap's massive body blocks one right underneath him because you're a melee. Anywho, also be aware of the fact that every tile you step and stand on to receive its effect will do some damage, so keep an eye on your health if you constantly need to switch back and forth. Okay, so Pap will continue to do this mathematical bullshit until 20% of his health is left. So here's a little thing that some people do, not me, because fuck you. If you see that Pap deploys the blue buff before the 20% mark, some people opt to multiply their timer as high as possible to benefit from the added defense during panic. You are free to do so, but just keep in mind the damage received from each tile, alright? Anywho, 20%, Pap will now signal the beginning of the end by going to the center of the arena again, gaining a double shield and initiating the true panic phase. As he walks to the center, that shield will be on him already, so that's the cue for the person or pair assigned to panic bombs to perform the following maneuver. Hanging off the side of the glass containing the bombs, jump and while in mid-air, grab the bomb and you will return to the arena with the bomb in hand to remove one of the shields. If 2 people can do this simultaneously, the better the result. Do note, however, if you screw up and accidentally hang on again after grabbing the bomb, that bomb will disappear. Make sure you are well acquainted with movement in this game before attempting this. More often than not, the person or one of the pair assigned to panic bombs will be the priest, so get to it. It seems that if you have multiple people stand on the glass, the mini cogs will break the glass and allow you to get the bombs that way. But it seems people would rather stick to Pap than make things easier, so pick your poison, I guess. Panic will look similar to Mini Panic, but in a way that makes Panic look like the full version that EA locked away behind DLC paywalls. Obviously avoid the mini cogs and then gather in the center, but this time the knight will not shield the knockback, but the first 2 giant cogs that appear on the floor. Once they appear, just use Bulwark and then Defender of the Faith. Once the first 2 are shielded, everyone will have to coordinate. Once the 3rd cog appears, everyone will move northwest. On the 4th cog, back down to the original position. 5th cog, northwest. But wait for a bit, because another knockback will happen here. Do not go down after that, just go back to his left. On the 6th cog, now everyone goes back down and the panic will end. The reason it's so important to coordinate is because if people are too separate from the group, additional giant cogs will fall wherever they are. So it can really put the team in a pinch, especially since the priest needs to spam their heals in a way some people in this community used to spam ooh in the world chat. Speed of heals. Everyone in this party better bring healing aura lap in tears, because the damage during panic is heavy and it is consistent. Don't forget that the priest's heals are limited by the amount of people that they can heal. So if you see yourself not getting healed, that means the game doesn't like you. So use a lap in tears when you have the chance. God damn, I can't wait for Awakening and that priest passive. Bit. Once the panic ends, the knight will have to immediately head to the north of the arena where 3 chonk stars appear. The knight will use Typhoon Slash to gather them together and use a hammer on the right to take them out. In the event that the hammer is misused, the knight can act fast and grab a hammer from 1 to take them out, as expertly shown here. If the knight is killed by Pap in a subsequent rage, like, dude, he actually legit spams attacks with no cooldowns in between, please watch out, the team will need to act fast. Rune Blades need to buddy up with anybody that's available to grab the hammer while they gather all 3 using Gravity Rune. Just pay attention to where Pap is attacking, you do not want those stars exploding at the very end. That's why it's up to everybody else to grab Pap's attention and keep him as far away from whoever's up north as possible. This entire panic cycle will continue until you finally defeat Papulatus and you have successfully cleared the current highest DPS check in the game. Yay. Congrats, you beat Seath Pap. That's really all there is to it. I've got nothing else, if I'm being honest, because really all I could actually advise that you do is practice movement and survivability. That's really all you need. That and a lot of damage. But honestly, yeah, just practice. You'll get used to it. This comes with experience. But yeah, I just want to get ready for Awakening because I'm getting pushed.
Fuck you.
I'm gonna kick her from the fucking jump.
Yes, I'm here.
So kick her.
Yes, I'm
I'll
here.
kick
What do
her.
you want?
Oh, plus 15-1! Plus 15-1! Yo, your boy got plus 15! Let's go!